So over the last weekend, I was invited to go to Fredericton, New Brunswick to shoot for YFC Autofest. They reached out to me, invited me to be part of their media team, so I decided that I would say yes and take a trip up to Fredericton to photograph their show. The first step to going up to Fredericton to photograph their show was obviously the drive up. I live in Moncton, and that's about an hour and 45 minutes to Fredericton. So we met up with a good group of people and a good group of cars, and we cruised up for the show. As I said, this cruise takes about an hour and 45 minutes, so we did that, and we made it to Fredericton. The first thing I did when I got to Fredericton was stop in at the show. The show's at the Fredericton Expedition Grounds, which is this old venue that had horse racing and has kind of been a staple for a lot of Fredericton events. A lot of stuff like Rib Fest and the fair and tattoo expos and different things like that happen there. And YFC Autofest is one of those things. So we went there first. I kind of have a soft spot for this building. It gives a good vibe. And while it might not be the fanciest venue in New Brunswick or the fanciest venue on the East Coast, it's a building that has a lot of heart, and YFC does really, really, really good with it. So obviously, in this first night, like usual, I take photos. I kind of get a vibe and a feel for how the show's going to shoot, what lenses I should use, and what I want to do photographically, how it's set up and how it's looking through my eyes and through my lens. After a couple hours of shooting it the night before and kind of getting a feel for how it's going to shoot and what type of stuff I want to do, I went to bed. Ben Ford, Salt Media, some of you may know him. We were staying at his house, me, Cole, and Eli, and shout out to him for letting us crash there. Makes it really affordable, and he's one of the organizers of the show, so it was good to see him again after we moved to Freddie. So we had a chill first night, slept, and kind of rested because it was going to be an earlier morning for the show. So the next morning, I got there about 10, and I just got right into it. I immediately went to shooting. So the first thing I kind of focused on photo-wise was getting my area done. So YFC Autofest asked me to cover the main hall area, and what they asked from that was to photograph everything in there, cars, booths, people, etc., and kind of just document that whole thing so that area is covered. So that was the first thing I focused on. I did probably 4 or 5 laps of the whole area, and I just shot the cars and, really captured it. I did both detail and wide, a lot of wide stuff, and a lot of stuff focused on what cars are here and what does this look like. After I was done that, I had a few creative ideas for what I want to shoot. I've been thinking about long exposure photography a lot lately, and I've been experimenting with it a lot lately. And this might be a future video, but I wanted to try long exposure photography inside the car show. So I took my camera and I focused on a car and then let the exposure run for 15-20 seconds. And this allowed any people that were in the scene, in the composition, to kind of blur and kind of look like a ghost in a way. And I felt this gave a really interesting view and a really interesting photo style. Like car shows obviously have people walking around them and wandering them and exploring them. And this kind of shows that motion. The people moving around the cars and stopping to look at details or the wheels or the fitment or the inside or whatever. And it kind of shows that movement that a car show has. And I felt it helped tell the story of, this is what people are doing at YFC Autofest and this is how people are experiencing it. So after that, I moved to the dirt section and the outdoor section, and I just did a bunch of general shots. I tried to cover I think I got almost everything inside the dirt section, and then kind of whatever caught my eye outside. It was really hot, and I didn't want to spend too much time out there, but, I photographed both areas because both areas are kind of important for the show. They're both key parts of the show. The show's not just inside. It's an inside and outside car show. And it's a whole event that kind of uses the whole Frex area, from the main show hall to the dirt horse area to the parking lot outside. So I wanted the whole area and photographed everything. Something else I wanted to focus on and photograph at this show was people. I've been doing a lot of street photography over the past 9 months, and this is all kind of capturing moments and capturing people in action to tell stories of, this is how people are experiencing it. So there was a few laps of this show that I focused purely on that. After the show was over and once cars started to roll out, I went with David, who has a Evo 10, and a couple of his friends, Matt with the E30 and Terry with a Volkswagen CC, and we went downtown Fredericton to photograph all three of their cars. I chose this pretty urban spot that I had shot at 4 or 5 years ago with Ben. So it's kind of like a nostalgic throwback spot for me, but it also suited the white on Terry's car and David's car. And then the blue contrasted really nice. And I just thought it was a nice urban city vibe for these three cars. There was some cool framing that I could do with the parking garage that kind of created nice borders and nice outlines of the cars. And there was a lot of cool stuff, and it was a very nice area. So after about an hour of shooting that, I said bye to them, and I went out to the Freddy Experimental Garden to meet with a lot of people. I didn't really shoot a whole lot here. One of my friends, Freddie, has a BRZ that was here, and it was kind of on this look-off spot, and I thought it looked really cool, so I grabbed a bunch of photos of that. And also while I was there, I was kind of shooting some people. Grant 555 Collective is another photographer based out of Freddie that I know, and he was shooting photos. He had a bunch of cars set up, and I kind of took a few photos of him working, and I just kind of chilled, I took it relatively simple and relatively easy. After this, me and Cole took my car and went out and met with Stance East and their crew. They have a good variety of cars. They got everything from Pulsars to Miatas to BMWs to Corolla hatches to an Eagle Talon, and the list goes on. It's a good variety of cars, and they were lined up at this really cool brick kind of industrial building spot. After this, I met up with my friend Josh, who has a Rocket Bunny wide-body 350Z. And we went across the bridge to the north side to shoot at this beach spot that I've always wanted to bring a car to. I've been here many times over the winter on my various trips to Freddie, and I like how it looks. It gives you a nice view of the city, and it's very, very picturesque. So we parked the wide-body Z right on the waterfront. He aired it out, and I just started shooting. And this was right around sunset too, and it looked really, really, really cool. It was right on the beach. There was a dock in the background, boats in the background. People were enjoying their day, and I just shot. And I took tons of good photos and a lot of enjoyable things. And after shooting that, I decided that I wanted to put my car there. I put my car on the waterfront and took a bunch of photos that I'm really happy with, and I think really kind of highlight both the views of the city along the St. John River and also, the car that I enjoy and was my dream car in high school. So after this shoot, that was it for all the photos that day, and we would just chill for the rest of the night. The next morning, I met up with Wilfred, and he has a Focus ST that is super done up, wheels and aero and all these different modifications, and we photographed it at the Frex. So in behind the Frex grounds, there's this abandoned grandstand that's sitting there from the horse track era. And it's a really fascinating piece of architecture because while it's abandoned and falling down, it's also a part of history and a part of Fredericton's history. So we parked his car right beside that and just took photos. And I'm really happy with it. I think it's cool to show a car from a modern event like YFC at a spot from a past event like the horse races in the horse track days. And I think connecting those dots is very important and very cool. So after shooting Wilfred's car, it was time for us to head home. And we drove an hour and a half back to Bunkton, and that would be it for YFC. YFC is a great show, and going to Fredericton is always a good time. The vibes of YFC are really, really good, and it's just a strong, enjoyable weekend. If you're ever in Fredericton in the summer, check out YFC. I recommend it. It's a great show to be at, and it's a great show to photograph.